Greetings to all. I am architect Devendra Deshpande from Institute of Design Education and Architectural Studies. I welcome you all to the program of Diploma in Architecture and Interior Design. The program code is AA80IXNIZ, semester 4th. The course title is Architectural Design 2. Course code is 324001. The title of this course is Architectural Design, which is the later part of the architectural design 1 from the last semester. The rationale for this project is this course is designed so that the students will learn ergonomics and anthropometry approaches towards space design and area statement formations for commercial spaces. This course will focus on small commercial institutional buildings design up to 2000 square meter to 5000 square meters of plot size, covering maximum of G plus 3 building structure. Interior design course can focus design a commercial or retail store, spa, restaurant, office, bank, or an experience center of 5000 square meter to 7000 square meter. Now, for both architecture and interior design, working off the essential components from both the focuses like from architecture to interior design is optional. The students from architecture can also partly work upon few of the details required for the interior design of the project, as well as for interior design students they can also work upon few of the essential aspects to be dealt with the civil work or the architectural part of the project. The industry or the employer's expected outcome out of this course is that the student shall be able to undertake surveys of various types of commercial or institutional spaces to plan and design it as per the need of the society. Nextly, the course level learning outcomes are the very first outcome CO1 is to explain the importance of typologies for commercial or institutional spaces. The second one is to apply all the theoretical learning about the pre-design concepts in the final design conservational sorry conventional methods of architectural design or interior space projects. The third course level outcome is to prepare design for space envelope architecture or interior design spaces. The fourth objective or outcome is to design technical and suitable approach towards the design project. And the last outcome is to demonstrate skills to prepare the ideas in 3D model. So with these outcomes as such, the teaching and learning and the assessment scheme for this course is as follows. The classroom learning is for 2 hours. The studio or the laboratory learning is for 4 hours. The self-learning hours are 2 hours and the total notional learning hours are 8 hours. Here you could see within the assessment scheme, there is no paper as such, but based on the continuous assessment done on the basis of the work that you do within the semester holds the entire marks. So the total marks for this subject is out of 125, where there are certain marks which are given to self-learning exercises as well. So now let us move towards the content under each and every unit. So there are in total 5 units for this course. I'll just read out the titles of the units first. So the very first unit talks about the pre-designed concepts in the context with anthropometry and ergonomics. The second unit talks about zoning planning and the area statements of the project. Unit 3 talks about planning and designing and 3D modeling of the project. Unit 4 talks about developing the structural design and the service layout and the technical drawings which are related to the project. And finally, preparing the presentation or the deliverables of the project with the help of computer aided drawings. So now let us get into each of the unit. So the very first unit, which is of the pre-design concept in the context of anthropometry and ergonomics, talks specially about how to design spaces with reference to human body. So human scaling with basic anthropometric data, assembling for commercial or institutional architecture or even for the interior spaces. Secondly, it talks about the pre-design concept, an anchoring idea onto which the architecture would be developed, the kind of checklist that one needs to develop in order to come out with a space requirement of the project. Then, undertaking a case study is a crucial part of architectural learning where students would require to undertake examples from the existing architectural projects designed by master architects or pioneers, from where they could learn spatial planning, structural design, use of various materials, the kind of construction technology, kind of building services which are employed within such projects. And finally, the concept discussion for its correctness of the design project has to be done along with the mentor. So that concludes your unit 1. So once a very draft conceptual design is discussed with the mentor, the next step, that is unit 2, contains zoning, planning, and developing the final area statement for the project. So, preparing a site plan, preparing a bubble diagram, or a zoning diagram becomes very essential to further detail out how these areas could be clubbed together to make various zones which are to be plotted across the site. Now, these zones are associated with the nearby site or the immediate context outside the site or even within the premise. How that is going to function, how people are going to move inside the plot area, within the buildings, even outside the buildings. So these zonings are purely based on function. So that has to be taken care of at this level. The next thing to do is to document the site and prepare a site plan with respect to various scales where measurements are necessary. So these site plans would take care of what are all the existing parameters to be documented on site, like for example, the access to the site, the topography of the site, the existing built infrastructure on the site. For example, what are the stormwater drains available on site? How are the electrical services are going to be laid on site? Are there any existing poles? Are there any existing stormwater drains? Are there any existing or proposed upcoming sewerage line within the layout or within the site? And there are several other services that can be plotted within this section of the study. Then planning and preparing alternative plans for understanding of the best possible layout planning. So in this, we are going to undertake the permutations and combinations of the area program that we have developed or the zones that we have identified. By placing these zones in various orders, we would think of how we can utilize the site in an efficient way. Once we do that, we will move forward to finalize the site and make a working model of it. So that concludes your unit 2. So once you have a fair idea as to where are the predominant zones placed within your site, we would move towards the unit 3, that is planning and designing and 3D modeling of the project. So now we would be again developing scale layout and sections to understand and demonstrate the design. By far you would be able to understand how much volume of your build blocks are going to be placed and where, right? So now what we would be doing, we will be drawing various sections through the site to understand how the topography and the building would be interacting with each other, how the open space and the built form correlates, and so on. So developing sections would be a prime objective behind doing this. Sections with all structural indications and levels would also be incorporated within this stage. 3D sketches and views, concepts, and design related drawings and their solutions would be drawn. So, here, preparing proposed civil layout and existing and proposed civil layout will be conducted. So, and after discussing these, we would again prepare the revised and final drawings for planning the further things in the building and or even the unbuilt part of the project. Moving towards the next unit, which is developing the structural design and the service layout through the technical drawings. Now, here we would be developing a study model to understand the structural requirement of the project. For example, we would make a frame structure or a load bearing model of the same building that we are proposing, and we would see how it behaves in uh, various kinds of forces, how it behaves in the skeleton manner. We would also try to resolve the organization of vertical, horizontal, or even in some cases inclined or cantilever elements within the structural system. Once that is done, we would then develop a schematic layout of various services that would be incorporated within such project. For example, electrical layout, water supply, sewage, drainage, stormwater drainage, CCTV, firefighting, and so on. So these are the services which are essential in a commercial building to function at its most efficient way. So after structural, we are going to develop drawings related to electrical, plumbing, rainwater harvesting, firefighting, and so on. Then after this, we need to also consider how we can conceal these services so that the built environment seems to be neat and clean and aesthetically pleasing. So we would be then focusing upon designing and finalizing various sorts of finishes and surfaces that we would be designing. For example, what sort of flooring is required, the details of such flooring, reflected ceiling plan, electrical and lighting, and HVAC system and network layouts for the same. Then we would be developing a coordinated drawing of all such services coming together in order to find out what services are clashing together and requires an urgent solution. So once we develop the basic civil, basically the architecture part of it, a, a schematic interior design part of it, we would again develop the structural and the services part of it, and at the end we would then convert all this into an computer aided drawing system which would generate plans, elevation sections in a technical way. Primarily till unit 4 we are supposed to develop this project through a manual representation, that is drawing by hand. So once all the drawings at conceptual level or are at draft level are prepared, we would see what what stage requires a revision. Okay, so it is not like that once you have prepared a zoning layout plan, or at building level you have finalized something which would require certain changes at later level, okay, would not be executed. So till this stage, you need to keep syncing all the requirements together, keep altering the civil part of the project so as to holistically design the project in an efficient way. So once everything is manually done and checked through a checklist, what are the pros and cons, and so are taken care of, then later on computer aided drawings and drafting and modeling would be employed to aid you to represent the entire scheme in a graphically rich way. So we are not going to just start developing the project on a computer or take references and manipulate it to say that uh, we have completed the requirement or so. So primarily it is going to be a hand drafted project till stage 4, and later on will be aided by computers to develop the presentation part of the project. So here is a list of what are all the deliverables which are required for developing this project. So that talks about preparation of anthropometric data. So now this data would be compiled in a report format. So with this report as such, we would then progress to make a conceptual drawing of what are all the spaces required for conducting this design proposal for a commercial project. We would be also taking care of the mind mapping step as a design process, preparation of case study and zoning layout. Then we would be making a circulation diagram or a bubble diagram or an adjacency diagram. All these terminologies are quite parallel to each other. We would see what are the differences and how do they differ in terms of representation. Then we would be preparing a site plan and an alternative for how we can go ahead with various kinds of zonings. What are the pros and cons and so on. After that, we would be preparing the final layout out of many, and then we would prepare the 3D view and sketch diagrams of the project. Then we would develop the architectural drawings plans, elevation sections required to further detail out how the architectural part of the project would be. Then, once those are developed, we would detail out the structural part of it, the services part of it at site level and at the building level as well. And once that is done, then we would conclude the project by preparing the drawings through computer aided drawing softwares like AutoCAD or other 3D softwares. At the end, there is going to be an internal viva whereupon you are required to present your work to the jury members. They will ask you questions and you are supposed to elaborate onto how you have arrived to this design. So at the end, we would require a folio which comprises of all the drawings enlisted over here. Apart from these requirements, there are certain micro projects or assignments required to further enrich the process of learning. So here we would go for a market study or a survey to analyze what are all the materials which are available in the market that you could employ, or are there such materials available in the market that can fit your requirements for the project. What are the rates for the material? What are the rates, or are there adequate artisans available in the market? If at all we are going to work upon a specific location or a site, is there the availability of the artisans or the kind of people that are required in order to construct such project or not, right? These are few of the suggested learning material. Many of them are available in the library. You can simply go through the library once and take toll of what are all the standards which are available in order to design such facility. Apart from the books, we have uh, learning websites and portals which are suggested by the MSBT PT to undergo uh, the references which are discussed within these links. So with this as such, we would conclude the session of what is going to be in this course. So I wish all the best to all the students. Thank you.